So let's come down to product life cycle. From that we go on. So basically, so now look at your product. You have decided your research, you selected the product, you have thought through your 4 P's or 7 P's or 4 C's, you have put together a whole format and you have actually come up with a very, very good product. That's it. That is when the first activity of marketing starts. But it's important for you to know that every product you have a website. You know, it's a classical research that shows that brands which are 50 years before were popular, 80% are like on the way. There are very many brands. 80% of the brands die in a space of 50 years. And they are brands. They are not only products, they have not even touched upon brand. The reasons are very many. I'm not going to get into it. It could be lifestyle change, it could be technology, it could be something else, it could be this, it could be that the use is gone out, the radio, for instance, is gone. The brands, the telephone was a big radio brand. Gone. German, high, sturdy, quality, hundreds of things you can say. So, develop, we'll come to that, that's called the life cycle. So, development, first phase. I put in all this because I want to leave it up later. Then there's an initial launch. You can't, you are starting a new product, so you can't go and flood the market and then find that you may have to take back or change. Then you get into the phase called growth. And then growth goes into maturity phase. And then in many places there's a decline. Every product goes through this kind of a product life cycle. Except that the life cycle of a product, depending upon whether it's a necessary, it's an essential product, it's a discretionary product, technology affects it, consumer behavior affects it, may have different kind of graphs. One may go like this and that, then it slowly. One may go like this and drop and so on. It's basically a parabolic curve. So there is a product life cycle in every single product that you do, every single service that you do. Every single service that you do, there's a product life cycle. And you go on redefining the product as we come to that later. And then there's something called product adoption cycle. That is product life cycle as the journey of the product to the time. But that journey is affected by the adoption of the product by the consumers. I adopt the product, I want to buy, I use it. That is another 5 types of adoptions. That's the innovators. Second thing is early adopters, early majority, late majority, late adopters. Maybe I would have gone through that because in your business plan or something like that, you already asked these questions. But this product adoption cycle also is the C, customers. The product life cycle mirrors the adoption, but is characterized by a certain set of linkages. That's the life cycle strategy linkage. Let's look at this. See, first, I go to the same, I'm trying to link up everything in a classical thing. Product, price, place, promotion, the 4 P's. Fundamental marketing mix that doesn't change. You can add 7, 14 and things like that, but it doesn't change. Against that, development, initial launch, growth, maturity, and decline. The 5 phases of product life cycle. What is their linkage? Development probably is the prototype, initial design. Price tends to be high because you have not reached scale. Trials are very selective, sometimes to known people, or sometimes, I don't know, that in US there are a couple of companies which give you trial at a particular format, price, and so on. The promotion is generally direct. At this time, you are trying to find out and make the product viable in features, what I put in, whether it works, and the customer trials in terms of color, shape, size, this, that. Then comes the initial launch. At this point, you have branded it. And the product has IP, you have protected it, and it has high quality. If it doesn't have, you are not in business, that's why I put that. The price is moderated compared to the high price. At this, you can't sell it. And the place is in specific customers, specific channels. You just go through modern trade, or you just go through in net, you select a particular type of thing and put it down and so on. And direct, you clearly direct only at a certain target customers. You don't go into mass. Then comes the growth. Great quality. Because it's not high quality, great. Delighted. Customers are delighted with that quality. They use it day in and day out, or whatever it is, they're happy. That's when the growth takes place. You also put in, because by then you've got enough experience about the product design, customer feedback, and technology itself improving, you also put in new features. So the product changes to a great quality and new features. Pricing is no feature driven. You have fantastic features, you can command a higher price. You are very good quality, great quality, but basic features, you can only command a certain amount. So price starts to become a factor of features. Place, that is the distribution, more versatile, much more because the growth, you target all the channels that are available for you, and therefore the changes. All these changes in terms of everything, including the people you select, processes that you put into the company, the 4, 7 Ps become important here. The service system, suddenly you may require service, and suddenly you go into this. Many companies have that problem. They go into this growth phase, then they don't know how to handle the service. The service need not be because the product is having a problem. It may require a periodic service and they don't know how to do it. Because the cost of the service becomes too much. If I add that cost, the pricing becomes too much. It is getting out of the price band, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people have that problem. Growth brings in more problems than anything else. Always. Promotion is not advertising to communicate features, because that's where you are going to make your money. Then comes the maturity. At this point, you have to put in more and more features and more enhancements. Because it's getting a mature phase. Customers say, okay, I know this product performance. Why should I buy this again? I have something else in my mind. Pricing is still feature driven, but even more critical. Apple exactly beats all this. Opposite. So everything that we say, there's another side to it. Intensive distribution and high decibel advertising, because you're in a maturity phase, you can command very high sales, and therefore you get into a highest share of voice in that advertising industry, in that advertising. I mean, what is share of voice? Share of voice is if you can put down all the communications of all the competition of a particular product or a service into a understandable metric, like minutes or time, I mean minutes or cost or of advertising, or a couple of metrics that's standard available. The share of that for your brand is called the share of voice. The share of voice determines how much money you are spending in your portfolio and how much market share you are getting. Typically in this stage, although you will have a high maximum share of voice, but you will have very high market share. Then for a period of time, technology has taken over, customers want to migrate to other kind of users, decline starts. You try to maintain the features at lower price. If you can't, slowly reduce them. Pricing, you build the product as much as I can charge, but to keep the decline not too much. Distribution, you go in for the lowest cost distribution, you cut the distribution margin, you do this, you do that. You say, I know I can't give you more than, I give you 10%, no, I can't give you more than 8%. Okay. And low or no advertising, the brand is very strong, the product is very well known, because the maturity you have advertised like that. The only thing is that what you call the curve may go like this. It will development, growth, maturity, and then decline. It will start declining. Every product and service goes through that. As I told you, the 50-year conundrum is real. We can take products which are very successful 50 years back and then find in India. Fiat, classic example. Ambassador, classic example. You can go back and see many things. Not only in automobiles. You can go into any product category. You will find there are the good brands which are beating that law and sell a lot, are brands which have got their marketing mix right. Brands which are innovated, brands which are very feature driven, brands which have adopted technology, brands which have changed their marketing mix continuously to suit the target customer. Because they define the target customer differently at the first line. Prestige did that. They changed the place because the target customer was, if I didn't, before that I told you, previously, before that, we used to have, going back 30 years, we used to have dealers coming and sitting in the office like this in order to get what is called dealership. That sales manager will not give him an appointment even though he is sitting in the office. Because he is the Raja, he is the king. He can give you a dealership, which means the prestige product will enter the shop in your town. You are the only one, therefore you are all important for that category in that town. In 90 we changed it and we made it a distributor-led model partly and lot more available. In 2000 we changed it further, we came up with our own stores. So mix, place, change. So you are one who keeps on dynamically looking at who is your target customer. You are not so product. Any number of examples of people from roll film to this or to a very heavy duty camera where you, I don't know how many of you are married, decently, how many? And then the photographer gave you how many photos?
Lot of, near about 1 GB.
Photographer took photos and then said select. And how many photos he gave you? 4,000, 5,000 photos he gives because one click he takes 4 photos. And like that, and then he doesn't say, in those days, the album was made by the photographer, he never referred to you. He took the best photos, made an album and gave you. Today, he just clicks it and then dumps one stick to you and then say, you select. Half the albums are never get made these days because nobody has the time to select. I don't know. Technology has become so different. Product without goal. So, lots of examples of companies which did not understand the marketing mix correctly do die and they continue to die. So, coming back, this decline is a very classic reality that everybody must be aware of. Let's go back to time is up. So now let's go to another concept. This is a BCT stands for Boston Consulting. Boston Consulting Group. I'm giving you a lot of various things. I'm not connecting. It's impossible for me to connect unless it's a course of 1 month in which I can take subject by subject and then deal with that. BCT came up with this theory called growth challenges. And they defined products. They said you must define your products. It's another way of looking at it into this matrix. See, every product operates in a bigger market and a smaller market. And the market has got a growth rate. 5%, 10%, 12%, 17%, whatever. Then you have a share, market share in that market. So these are the two parameters. So they said we will do a 2x2 grade and low market growth, low market share, high market share, high market. But they're putting the products in a particular way. What are they? They are called dog, question mark or problem child, star, hashtag. Go back. mark, cash cow, up. So if you look at low cash, low market growth and low market share is a top. Low growth rate, high market share is a cash cow. High star, high growth rate, low market share is a question mark and a problem child. What does that mean? Very simple. How to use it? Dog, low market share, low, they drain your resources. You are operating in a very low growth market with a low market share. Why are you there? There are products in every portfolio will be there in the company. They cannot be in a startup. But what they suggest is drop the product. Even though it gives you 2% of the company's turnover, and the marketing guy will not want to drop it because it gives me 2% more, the guy somewhere will say, come on, yeah, it's taking 8% of my resources. So you have to drop. Second comes the problem check. Low market share but high growth. This is a big problem. I have a high market share. I have a high growth rate in the market, but I have a low market share. What do I do? Whatever I do is not going up. Market share is not going up. But the market is so big, growing so fast, what am I doing wrong or what should I handle? That's where the strategy is very clear. You go, make large investments, high risk and come with a right strategy. That's one approach. Otherwise you want to drop. Clear goals. I will invest in this product for 2 years. I will achieve a customer base of 500,000. Or I will achieve 12% market share. I will be in 10 large markets. I will keep clear goals. Put the investments and monitor. If you don't do it at that point of time, get out. Market may be fantastic, but I am not able to do it. There are many companies which exit because they are not able to get a good market share in a high growth market. Many companies. Star. This is what you do. The core business. High market share, high growth rate. This is a classic example of star. Several products which are stars. High market share, high growth rate. Last quarter the growth rate was 30%. In these days, 30% growth is a fantastic number. But it is sustained investment. You can't take them high off investment. You need to innovate all the time, come up with new things, and go on putting money behind it. But returns are fantastic. It's a very long term bet. Cash cow, high market share, the market itself is not growing. Actually speaking, for a period of time, what you did was better than what somebody else did. Therefore, they were in this low growth, low market share syndrome. So they dropped out of the market, leaving the market to you. But the market is only so, growth rate is only so small. Market may be big, but everybody is exited because they are not getting a share. It's a maintenance strategy. That is, you maintain it as much as you can and build the product to make high profits. In PTK, not in Prestige, in a group company, they have a great product which is a cash cow. It is called Woodward's Greg Water. I don't know, many of you know what the Greg Water is. A gripe is a colic, that's a pain that comes out of air or gas in a baby's stomach. Babies tend to swallow air when they drink. And up to 18 months only this product is prescribed. And 1 spoon of that will remove the colic. But a lot of doubts about whether this product is right, should be given, is it modern, does it suit this, does it suit that. So over a period of time, a lot of people die. These fellows kept at it. They grow, they have something like 70% of the market, and they are the highest price, and they make huge money. Everybody else, and as the years go by, their position is going to become more and more unrecognizable until the use of the product drops. The market shrinks. So here is a cash cow. There are many cash cows. There are many cash cows. available in the market. But they don't spend any money, they just milk the product. High price, appropriate at that time, low advertising, maintenance, and so on. So, if you want to use another way of looking at how you want to do your consumer marketing strategy, you try to fit the products in a PCG matrix, and what you understand, the market growth, you understand the market share, you have all those data, you put it in, and then come up with a strategy. This is another way of looking at how you must define your strategy once you have a product or a portfolio of products. So let's come down finally to summarizing, because almost an hour. So starting with product policy, pricing, they come to this. Not that channel, distribution, communication, promotion, organization, research, huge number of topics. And not possible to do anything in the 1 hour time. Let us now go to position. I wanted to touch upon that, at least slightly in a different way. What is positioning? What is positioning?
Not a customer can easily identify our product.
What is positioning? Not you. Somebody else.
How can a product be placed in a market?
How
can a product be placed in a market, in an existing market? How and where will you place the new
physically?
Product? Not physically, of course.
Not physically.
We have various factors to take into consideration. Physical factor also would be.
No. Physically placing the product for availability or
no. In the markets, in the existing market.
No, everybody. We have that.
Compared to making a low-end product, high-end.
Pricing wise, we can positioning, availability.
Anything else? Value. Okay. In competition with other. Okay. What is the position? Forget product. What's the position?
How does your customer want to see your product?
How does that?
Customer want to see your product.
How does the customer want to see your product? Good. What is the position? In a graph, a position is a particular point. In a geography, a position is a particular locality. Like that, in the consumer market, your product occupies a position. Question is, who defines the position? Consumer marketing is all about this. Do I determine the product position as a manufacturer, marketer, or the customer defines the product position? Customer. Do I talk to the customer? Oh, this is a product with this camera, that camera, or they look at it and say, this brand, this product, the features, this that I am looking for, or I will be satisfied. Most people look at product positioning as a company statement. Product positioning is what you want to create in the customer's mind as what your product should be. Innovation is defined somewhat similar. Innovation is defined as creating a product or a service that the customer yet does not know he or she wants. But that is product led. It is not. It is the customer's mind. It is slowly going towards that. At that time, you must be ready with the product. So innovation goes beyond. Innovation is identical journey as the product positioning of creating one in the customer's mind. It is just that it says you must be in a better position to be able to understand what the customer will want, not what you can make. This positioning statement changes dramatically over the years. established businesses keep on changing their positioning statements. And they create it through advertising, communication to explain that. I've chosen that in order to show you. The positioning can be anything you can do. Then you can get into theory, value positioning. You can do competitive positioning. You can do technology positioning. You can, all that is in your mind. Ultimately, the customer must be able to see what she wants to see in the product. So, then once you've done that, the positioning you have to communicate. However, you don't know that, so you have to communicate it. So that's why this is, I kept on saying positioning is the name of the game. Target consumer, positioning. Positioning tells you what the target consumer will buy. And that's the core of the business. As I'll just read out the statement, which is a great statement. Third on the saying, sole purpose of the existence of any business is first to create, then to keep the customer. Letting profit follow as the barriers as the business grows. So, you must know what the customer wants and therefore able to make a product. Then you must go after the target audience and build the sales of the product to various things. And then make the profit or make the value as the business plays, whatever. So that's a great statement of what the business should be. The positioning determines the product's journey, the positioning of what the customer wants in the minds of it. Lot of research goes into positioning. Let's look at stuff. Years back, this was a position. They communicated this. Why? They thought customers wanted white as core benefit of washing. So, Surf washes whitest was the long-term campaign of Hindustan Lever at that time, as it was called Hindustan Lever. Ultimately, the customer wanted white. So Surf was a big brand. This is the only thing nobody knows. But they took the positioning saying customer want to white because they believed through research that great whiteness after washing meant great satisfaction to the customer and therefore great product. Delta G. You remember? Many of you, smaller, younger guys won't. Somewhere in the early 80s, a new brand was born that was called Nirma. Nirma was exactly the antithesis to Hindustan Lever Surf. Nirma was basically strong chemicals, poorly packaged, went through the lowest priced model, distribution widest. There's a chap called Kasturba Gandhi who started it, and he took the market by storm. Someone, Hindustan Unilever, dropped out, market shares dropped. Very good product, fantastic positioning, white. This guy, washing powder, the music is known to you all the time. Even today they have kept the same jingle. Kasturba Gandhi. Incidentally, the girl in that is his daughter. And she died in a road accident about 10 years back. That's aside. So, rising onto that, they changed the positioning. They said, white, not white, this, that, chodo here. Now I have to protect myself. They brought in trust as a position. Suddenly the product positioning changed. They wanted to create trust in the minds of the customer. They thought the customer is not trusting you. That's why they are buying Nirma. That's why market shares are shifting. How do I do this now? How do I do? So they said the need of the hour is to build back the trust. Or the customer to trust me again. So they created this fictional character called Lalita Ji. And this Lalita Ji's ads was fantastic. This is an ad in which she goes to the market, picks up the vegetables and she says, no, all kinds of vegetables are here. I pick up this best. Start like that. One by one, they see these are back. They're running for, I think, close to 7, 8, 10 years. I don't know. They completely. And they got back their market. It's not that Nirma is not big now. Nirma is also big. Consumer market has grown dramatically in India. But the drop that they saw was reversed because they decided that product positioning, product feature-oriented positioning, value-oriented positioning, benefit-oriented positioning is not valid because my business is dropping. I need to change my marketing strategy. I need to change communication, which is one of my P's, into something else. What is that? Trust. Therefore, I bring back. So Lalita ji spoke to you on TV at every serial. So you suddenly said, yeah, Lalita ji so I will go and buy. Go back. Recently now. You change the position completely. Dirt is good. No, it's one of joy. I am not upset if my child goes out and falls in the car, dirt, and comes back. I have surf. Joy. Today the positioning is, I don't have to worry. Let the child do what it wants. It's not the whitest, it's not this. I'm joyful. Washing is not a chore because my child is going out and coming back with dirty clothes. It's joyful because I have surf with me. See the positioning? It's changed from a feature-oriented, a benefit-oriented positioning to trust-oriented positioning to joy. Joy of using the product in any situation I don't worry. So I have taken many positions. I have just taken 2, 3 to explain. What the customer wants today, that's what is the positioning. Now let's look at Apple. Another great brand. This was the old brand. Cadbury's milk chocolate. Oriented at children. Because chocolates are eaten by children. Right? And merrily they were going on for a long time. And then one fine day they say, my growth is not coming. Why? Then somebody asked, why are you telling the customer that chocolate should be eaten only by kids? Why can't I create a feel in the minds of adults that they should also eat chocolate? So they changed to a set of, I don't know how many of you remember these ads. This is the cricket field. Then there's the old man, fantastic ad. The 5 old men. These are very, actually took all of us who were in the field by surprise. Because 5 old men are sitting on a road, that bridge, small bridge. And a guy comes by cycle and stops and says, where does this road go? Old man says, it doesn't go anywhere, it's here only. Like this, the girl hits 4 or 6, the girl comes jumping and then gives him a chocolate. Suddenly they change. You can also feel joy. You can also feel happiness if you eat a Cadbury chocolate. They change from child positioning to adult positioning. But the product was the same. It is suddenly the positioning determined the target market. So they wanted to change it because they became good this. You remember this ad now? Few years back. A huge number of worms that were found in Cadbury in the retail outlets. It became a big news item. Cadbury sales dropped. They took back all the stock. What did they do? They went to the most iconic brand ambassador that India has ever seen, Amitabh Bachchan. Then they started talking to customers. The line, if you can read, I read here, don't worry. From the mouth of Amitabh Bachchan saying, don't worry, be happy, eat chocolate. Eat Cadbury chocolate. Because customers are very worried, if I buy that, I will have worms in my mouth, my tummy or my child's tummy. Amitabh Bachchan saying, so endorsement. The positioning changed dramatically to one of creating comfort. Comfort positioning. Now they retain Amitabh Bachchan, but for change the change further to कुछ अच्छा हो जाए, कुछ मीठा हो जाए. So now they go not only just मीठा. If anything can be nice, also sweet. So now the piety moved away and they are again showing happiness. But they kept Amitabh Bachchan because Amitabh Bachchan brought them out of a rut into back to business. They probably owe him a lot, so they are paying him 25 crores a year. So Cadbury, from a child to this to problem solving approach, like Lalita was also a problem solving approach, joy, happiness, eat willingly. We go to my own prestige. This is one of the earliest acts. You look at a woman which is using an ordinary bottle as a book, and another woman who is using a prestige pressure cooker. Happy. It says simple. She is tied up in the kitchen, she is doing ordinary ways, trying, she is doing pressure cooking, blah blah blah. There's extra leisure you need. Look at the positioning. You get more time in your hand if you use prestige. You are not tired, you get more time, you can do what you want, and then show. This was the launch original ads. Somewhere in 70s, changed to another, again an iconic line, positioning, led by a problem. The aluminum, any pressure cooker is a bomb. Because at 1 kg extra pressure inside, the load on the lid is tons. It is multiplied by the square area of the lid. So it could be 500, 800 kgs depending upon the lid size. 800 kg of load suddenly applies and the lid separates. You can have devastation, injury, mailing, burns, 3rd degree, 4th degree burns, apart from damage. So it's a bomb. In the evolution of the product technology, design technology and things like that, at that time, in late 60s, early 70s, either to the quality of aluminum or to the quality of tooling or to simply faulty design, Prestige started seeing separations. That was called burst. Separation of the lid and body, and it could lead to many of those negative things that I spoke about. They came up with what is called gasket release system, GRS. Simple, they put a slot on the lid, so the gasket was pushed out beyond a certain pressure. It released the pressure safely through the side. So came this ad. This ad, for this ad they coined this iconic line, Jo Biwi se kare pyar, wo Prestige se kaise kare inkar. Man who loves his wife, how will he say no to Prestige? And the ad was simply that a newly married couple go to a button shop to buy a pressure cooker and say, I want a pressure cooker, and a shopkeeper at the back. Those times they separated. It was shown in the ad. And says, क्या pressure cooker चाहिए? Is there a change? Is there a difference? If you want a good pressure cooker, you take this. Husband says, okay. Then says, अच्छा pressure cooker, you take another one. But then the husband is very confused. He says, what are you saying? And he says, why do you say that? I want to buy the best pressure cooker for my wife. Then the shopkeeper smiles and says, बहुत अच्छा चाहिए, take the Prestige pressure cooker. Then they show the GRS, Jo Biwi se kare pyar. And this is when, and as always, all ads must have a funny thing with it. So when finally he says, but however, it will be little more price. This will be cheap, this will be medium, this will be cheap. And then the husband says, oh, it's expensive. This is a short at that time. The wife is saying, you are worried about expensive? It's safe for me. That's free. Is this? From that they went to, in between they went to, are you ready for a smarter kitchen? Because in the 2000s, suddenly, Jo Biwi se kare pyar or Prestige se kare inkar became a line which was sexist. Why would a husband buy you a pressure cooker? Why are you not capable of making the decision? But, as always, you see, men are supposed to make all the decisions. See, it is in his hand. So it showed that. Suddenly we say, oh my God, that's not the thing. So who is the customer? We define the customer. The customer is a traditional modernist. Was the word. She is traditional. She loves to cook for the family, but she is modern. She makes her own choices. She shops her own for what she wants. And she works. She makes her money. She is independent, but she loves her family. Traditional modernist. So we coin the line, are you ready for a smarter kitchen? Because smartness, you are smart. Therefore, why won't you choose a smarter kitchen? I have not shown that ad. 10 years later, he said, okay, are you ready for a smarter kitchen? Everybody is smart. What are you doing? We went back to Abhishek Bachchan and Aishwarya. And then back to Joe BB said, Kade pyar wo kisi se kaise. But with a twist. He said, anymore, because by then, the number of men cooking, because of the working lifestyles, both husband and wife working, various things, nuclear families, right? You know, the whole societal changes meant that men were also involved in many of the household work. So suddenly we came back and said, Jo BB said, Kade pyar, I love my wife, so I do the cooking, and how will I not take prestige for that? That's the line. So, same Jo BB said, Kade pyar, or prestige said, Kade pyar, with a couple, where Abhishek Bachchan cooks for her. The series of ads, various things. 5 years later, it changed to Vidyavan, and the line has changed. Now, it is not Jo BB. Now, BB has become Parivar. Someone who loves his family, why would he not make up prestige? Make it more open, make it more general. Jo Parivar se kare kya hua prestige se kare. The Parivar word is actually not exactly used as Parivar. It is changing to Jo Pati se, Jo mother-in-law. Saas se, so Bahu se. So it's changed. Suddenly different ads are coming. So it's not anymore, if I love my family member, I will pick up prestige. So anybody will. So to take the position, one of simple, not even feature, benefit driven, to something where safety is emphasized by love. Because I love my wife and therefore I buy the safest product, to something where
please make it longer.
someone is listening to me elsewhere. Or is it time to a couple where the men were to cook for the women through that and went to a parivar. So suddenly the whole thing. So what you see is that it is ultimately I made the commitment. What? So it's coming through here. Finally we look. So ultimately, if you are going to make a product, service, whatever, you determine what you have to communicate. But you do not communicate what comes to you. You do that by understanding, getting into the customer's mind and saying this is what is relevant today to the customer if they want to look at your brand, your product positively. And therefore, I am going to say that and then I'm going to experiment with that and then see. That's why companies keep on changing. Some because of issues like worm, some because of something else and so on. But every brand will have, every successful brand, Surf, Cadbury, Prestige, all extremely successful brands have this journey of product positioning changing by understanding the customer's need. Go back to the very first slide. You have a product idea, you do understand the consumer behavior, market behavior, consumer behavior. This is a result of understanding the consumer behavior and trying to be one step ahead of that behavioral change coming into the market, and therefore you are relevant to the customer as they change. So there are 4 growth strategies. I'm going to come to the end. For any business, if you are doing a product, you have an intensive growth strategy. You grow current markets, current product. This is another just concept of what you need to do. You take your current products and current markets and grow them intensively. That's one strategy. You take current products and go to new markets. That is called market development strategy. You go to new products and current markets, not product development strategy. Innovation strategy is new products. It depends upon what you are, how you are looking at your product, technology, the consumer, target consumer. You determine where you fit in and you try to develop a growth strategy. It's important because you cannot do everything at the same time. You need to decide what am I good at technology, product development, maybe, because I will be always taking newer product, newer technology, and therefore I will be taking new products and taking the existing customer and creating a higher, bigger, better value proposition to them, and therefore I will be business strategy, and therefore the marketing strategy will be based on that. There are many products. Cell phones do that today all the time. They are in the same market, but they have been adding features like music and this, cameras and this and that. They are expanding the market dramatically through product development. And you can even call it innovation in some extent, but it's basically that, and so on. Now, the other thing I want to leave with you is what are GTM, go-to-market strategies. Again, when you take a product or a service that you want to do, there are 4 ways of doing it. A very overarching, very ambitious strategy. I call it Uberized go-to-market strategy. You just go on the basis of pricing, comfort, convenience, customer perception, time, that is problem solving, everything in such a big way. Today, Uberizing has become a word. It's not, Uber is not a brand, Uberizing means you know everything in a big way, everything this way. So it's overarching ambitious. I want to flood the market, I want to do everything in a big way. That's one strategy. Disruptive go-to-market strategy. I don't think I have the ability to do everything, or my product doesn't allow that. So I will take underserved markets, underserved segments. There are some areas in which there are use possible, but it's not being tapped properly. So I underserved. So I go into underserved segments, disruptive strategy. Then I go to co-working, complement an existing product. I will take an existing product and I will complement it. That is, I'll become a service partner to that. I will do an add-on to that, and so on. That product is big. Because of the product is big, I will be doing that. So I co-work. Along with that, I will be dragged. The 4th would be a plug into a larger system. You know the SAP implementers? SAP is huge. They don't do any implementation. So one huge set of people develop. They are plugged into a SAP system or Oracle does it on SAP. So there are people who you can, I will make a product, but I will not do anything with that. So there are SAP implementers, there are other strategies. So again, growth strategies, go-to-market strategies are all dependent on ultimately defining what is the consumer, what is the product that you have, what is the market in which you operate, and how to define your product. So you can tell me many things. Probably coming to an end. Okay, finally, sorry sir. Consumer segmentation comes from research, targeting right customer based on that. Always do an emotional connect. Today, emotional connect is very important, and do a channel mix and add them to business. Keep these in mind, and you will go into the right path. Lastly, that is the end of it. Slightly lighter note. What are these? Movies. Huh? All about movies. Obviously, I put all that. User River Point, Kola, Data Escape, 60 minutes to be tried, 0.30 saving drive. All about movies. Each is different. and each gives you a direction on how you can define your attack. One word which I said, our decisive warfare as approach. Let's see, build the world war. Outflanking. The guy is building the bridges. This guy comes from somewhere behind to a village, this, that, and comes. And then finally blows up the bridge. Overpowering. Japanese came up with how many 250 planes and this, that, and just demolished Pearl Harbor in minutes. 60 minutes to enter. I don't know whether many of you have seen this before. 60 minutes to enter is set in big fellow here, African dictator. Is she, remember?
Mugabe.
I think not.
This is that Idi Amin.
Idi Amin. He hijacks Israeli plane, civilians, and it is in the Idi Amin, what port? What is it? What is it? Enterprise. Israelis planned a very precise operation. This guy is sleeping in his palace, which is very near the airport. He sleeps through that. These people sneak in, take out all the prisoners and fly up. 60 minutes later, and they did that in 60 minutes. That was 60 minutes to do. Precise planning, precise approach. Troy. You all know what Troy is. Surprise. Finally, Trojan. Coming through the horse, open up, jump out, open up the gates, and let the guys get in and demolish. Troy is one of surprise. 0-30. This is on Bin Laden. How the Americans stealthily flying at very low levels, the helicopters, while the Pakistanis were left wondering what was happening and killed him. Saving Private Ryan. You know what Saving Private Ryan movie is about? It's about the Normandy War. It's about maneuver. What do you maneuver? You are at your wit's end. How you maneuver in the movie. There are very, very Normandy movies. Battle of Normandy. I chose Saving Private Ryan just to talk about that. The Great Escape. How many of you remember the movie called Great Escape? Steve McQueen. Any of you see? One time. Great movie. They are all American prisoners in Germany in World War II. And these guys say, we are going to escape. That's it. And they start planning. Dramatic. It's fabulous movie. They plan, they do an underground tunnel and escape. Of course, the process of escaping, one goof takes place and some of them die or shoot out, but many of them escape. The Great Escape is a movie about planning, marketing of an outflanking strategy. You are a market leader. You don't get them head on. You create a set of features on your product and go through a site and go through a channel which will accept you. And suddenly customers start noticing it and saying, hey, this is fantastic. Why am I not getting it? And this guy is out. To some extent, Nirma is an example. Overpowering, just advertise the and get a market share. Or distribute in every outlet, create visibility, and therefore get market share. Besides, to the last customer, I plan and go and do it and get a high return on the investment. Very quick, very, very low cost investment, and I get high return. Surprise. How much is it? I must give you one. I'll call it surprise. Getting a prestige. In 1988-89, you know, these durables are all having something called exchange rates. You can go and exchange your old product for a new product by getting a fat discount. But in 1988, 30 years back, it was just starting. Some little exchange used to take place as an experiment. And Hawkins made a exchange plan and put out a notice to the dealers at the circle there, in which they laid out a very good proper procedure for exchange. What are that? The dealer can take it. He will, for this 75 rupees at that time, 85 rupees, 95 rupees, whatever, by size, during the 45-day period, and then they will put all together and wait. A representative from the company will come, check everything, count, and then they will do it. It will be sent to the company by the dealer. The company will again cross-check the numbers and everything. If that is right, they will make the 75 rupees are into so much, 85 into so much, by a credit, by a check. That was it. The circular, as usual, came to us. Somebody, all looked at me, said, "What a stupid idea to do all this for over these 2 months." Then everybody said, "What do you mean by 2 months? What else can you do?" So actually, I remember still, we sat down in the office at 6 o'clock in the evening and said, "All right, let's beat this." And they have given an advertising schedule and everything. So, what we came up with was, and we branded it that night before we left home, we called it OTS, on the spot exchange. What we said was, you bring your product, give the product, get the discount on the spot and buy the product and go away. It is my problem to deal with the dealer later on how to give him the money, because he has lost the money. But it was so short for him. He advertised 80% of the exchange that took place in that time was prestige exchange. Advertising was done by him. You can call it outflanking, you can call it surprise. You do very precise, quick ones, but in a larger scheme of things, surprise, stealth, maneuvering, plan, there are very many marketing warfare. You have to choose what is right. There are very many examples of how people come up with very many of these things, or same brand will see these all its lifetime. Question of how do you understand what is relevant at that time? I think that's the end of it. If there's time, I thought I would use it. I thought 5 minutes?
Yes, please. Sure.
I have 2, and I'm not going to speak. I'm going to, I think I'll choose this. I want volunteers to come and read, and I'll put that slide on. It's not necessarily directly 100% over communicating into consumer marketing, but this is a very good article I read on strategy for startups. Many of you are startups, in which he talks about entrepreneurial strategy compass. And he talks about, again, the 2x2 matrix is a very, very common matrix for understanding things. Intellectual property, architectural, value chain, and disruption. There are 4 things I want volunteers to come and read. And then, okay, I'll talk about these 4, and I want volunteers to read a certain part. Intellectual property is maintain control of innovation and find a way to create value in the existing marketplace. They all fall into the ultimate marketing strategy for the consumers. Example, Dolby is a great global standard for sound technology, licenses proprietary technology to Sony, Bose, Apple, and others. And they continue to be technology. We talked about that. In the growth strategy, there will be a technology driven. Value chain. Rapido SOS could partner with insurance companies for ambulance services. Ultimately, because insurance companies pay for ambulance services. What they did was they decided to do something to make sure that the cost of ambulance services are controlled, therefore insurance companies do not pay. Join another company and ride with it. I said that's one of the go-to-market strategies. Architecture, create and control a new value chain often using a platform business. SAP is a big platform. I will create a new business implementing the SAP. Compete directly with incumbents, take them by surprise with fast execution. For example, then a runway challenge. These are 4 concepts. I want some of you to come and read. In this entrepreneurial strategy, it is not that they are theory. There is customer, there is technology, there is identity, culture, capability, and competence. Ultimately, the same set of people who we deal with. I want 4 of you to come and read, one by one to read, just a small paragraph, that's all, this customer. Just not, And it will tell you in a technology situation, because I don't find time to do this, I said in a technology situation, all this is as relevant as anything else. This is customers.
Customers. Identifying customers
One.
and that.
Very good.
Little more down. Closer.
Identifying customers and understanding their needs is usually the first step in any go-to-market strategy. But the target customer is not necessarily the first customer. And it is important that you understand the relationship between the two. You validate your product by getting the right early adopters. Amazon's decision to initially target book readers was a strategic choice. Its leadership recognized that books were a beachhead from which the company could expand into other retail categories.
So, you can identify many of consumer market. Next comes technology. Somebody, come on guys, we would love to hear your voice, not mine. I think the whole article is more on Amazon. Doesn't matter.
Technology and customer choices are interrelated. Amazon could have built a simple online ordering system to service existing stores. Instead, its goal was to let consumers buy the long tail of books that could not be stocked physically at a local mall. Thus, the company had to invest beyond transaction services to build a database and search engine capable of guiding readers through millions rather than thousands of books.
That's on the technology. We'll come to that and then discuss it. Next, identity, culture, and capabilities. Anybody? Come on. I want, good.
Identity, culture, and capabilities. Choices in this category should both create a narrative about what the company will stand for and communicate to all the stakeholders what behavior to expect and what capabilities it will develop. Readers loved Amazon's offer, and Wall Street quickly saw how much money the company could make. But Amazon's founder, Jeff Bezos, wasn't building a bookstore. He wanted to create the everything store that would require the ordinary customers' trust they were getting a good deal, which meant that Amazon would focus relentlessly on lowering prices despite pressure from investors for early returns.
Last, competitors. Somebody. Competitors.
Amazon defined its competition as other retailers and chose to compete aggressively by offering consumers more choice, greater reliability, and lower prices. In its early days, it could easily have chosen to work with existing retailers, perhaps even defining them as customers. Competitors would have been other search and logistics service providers, and the company could have established itself as a premium service provider by adding more value for booksellers.
If you read it, it's another way of depicting the business in different ways on how you want to define your customers, how you want to define your target market, technology, or capability in terms of what you want to develop, and how you want to work with your own base, position, promotions, and everything. Ultimately, whether you are handling a service or a new age marketing, principles don't change. It is the customer at the center, it is the target customer who I understand, it is their behavior that I must appreciate, understand, and meet. So finally, all consumer marketing just does this what Theodore said. Again, maybe. Sole purpose of the business, of the existence of any business, is to first create, then to keep the customer. Creating the customer and then keeping the customer is all consumer marketing. Thank you.
Take a few questions.
Yeah, of course.
You have.
Yes.
Please let us know and request you to just speak into the mic because we are recording the session.
I'll try to answer as much as I can.
Any questions, please? Please feel free. This is an extremely important concept that we are covering today, and we are very fortunate to have someone who's as senior and who's sharing his experiences over the last 30 years. So please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Very good talk, very informative. I represent Motion Assistive Solutions. We manufacture personalized and high performance wheelchairs. Wheelchairs, yeah. So our market is very fragmented. Our target customers are fragmented all over the country, and if we scale abroad also, they are fragmented here and there. What will be the most effective way to reach such a fragmented market where they are in remote places and in cities and towns and villages and all these places? And just to give a background, we have a product mix where we can have a product for a customer from varied backgrounds and varied disabilities. So we can have an urban customer also and a rural customer also. So, but what will be the most effective way to target all of them in the most effective manner?
You're asking for a business strategy, 1, 2, 3. Not easy to answer that such a question. First of all, you are not going to achieve anything by going after a completely fragmented customer base with trying to do everything at the same time. So, if that approach is done, your costs will only go up and your return on that will be very difficult to achieve. So what you need to do is whether if it is a product which comes out of an illness or something like that, can I do in the hospitals? Through hospitals can I do that? If your benefits are far better than any other product that is available, can I go through that? Because ultimately, a lot of mobility issues are referred to doctors, students. That's one approach. The second one could be that you have, I'm going a little more than what I think is right, but a DIY kits with the local local point and access around that, where once you require what the customers will be, you send the DIY kits and they will assemble it and they will go. So the place issues can be sorted out. So it's not an easy thing to do a fragmented marketing at all. Fragmented marketing rarely gives any price. You need a concentrated, you need a heavy home. And if it is not available, you need to look at what are the touch points where there are convergences. Convergence of customers, convergence of anything else, and attack those convergence points.
Please take the mic.
It was a wonderful lecture from you, sir. Thanks a lot for that. We got a beautiful idea from your presentation. Value creation or profit creation. So, as suggested by you, we are an internet product we call as a virtual product, and we really are a physical product, but we are providing a solution as a product for us. So we found out your method of value creation as a pilot launch with all the schools. Initially, as you suggested, we had a positioning method as directly calling white, but that doesn't work. We, as you said, we had emotional content saying like, hey, my teacher, my guru. Then that worked magic in schools. We repositioned the presenting. Now, should we go, how long should we go on value creation, then turn it into a profit, and how do we, sell that into the profit creation?
Again, I don't know much of your business, but what you say, you found an emotional connect to be giving you the sales and business. So, enhancing this emotional connect should be your continuous marketing strategy. The emotional connect has normally a word of mouth aspect to it. And emotional connect is always, I am happy, so if a group of people are meeting together in a similar industry, why are you happy? Because of this word of mouth. So maximizing the emotional connect with certain thought leaders should be your first approach if you are doing it in a limited way. And such thought leaders, you can then do many things. You can use those thought leaders to run seminars. You can do wherever the other group things are there. You can try to get them to endorse your product and so on and so forth. So suddenly the market perceives it as, oh, they are using it, so I can use it, kind of a thing. An immediate trust gets formed. So they are not going to look at the whole thing. They are saying they are using it, I am going to use it. That could be the thing. So your approach would be to maximize the emotional connect, touch points and thought leaders, and see how to grow that into a sizable number which can again work magic through word of mouth. That's what I would think, the limited knowledge that I have of what you're saying.
Do you have any more questions?
Sir, myself, Randhir, I'm very new in this field actually. So many things is just not like this, but one question I like whatever project or idea I have came up by looking at the problem that the people face in their daily life. So like you said that advertisement, like the Amitabh Bachchan is telling thoda meetha ho jaye, and if you look at the advertisement and the need of the people, thoda meetha ho jaye is not the need of the people, but whatever is exactly like pressure cooker, like it was the need to some extent. So if you look at the need of the product and the how the advertisement.
There is nothing called need which is rational. A need is not rational. A need is a mindset. Why do I wear Levi's jeans and why do somebody wears a cheaper jeans? Why do I want a Levi's brand on me? Taking a rational route to a need for a brand, I want to flaunt my brand. Why do I want Apple 7, 8, I keep on moving? Why do I want to have a BMW? The car is what I want. If you take the same platform, it is the lowest to the highest, same solution, but still exists. Then across platforms, living, eating, you are saying is number one need. No. You go into the streets and you see, mobile is number one need. They don't even eat, but they want the mobile. And till Jio came in, they were putting in more than what they could afford into that plan. Till Jio came and made it about $100 a month. Need is defined in the minds of the consumers through a very complex set of neural responses. So a pressure cooker, because it's so basic, it's need. Levi's jeans, no need, no such thing. Or a music system, no need, no. Its need is defined by lifestyle, need is defined by a set of competitive position that I live in society. Need is not made. That's why, in a very slightly different way, Maslow defined 5 different stages. One, the lowest is the need, which is to basically live. Highest is the emotional quotient. The emotional quotient is what the brands try to attack. They don't look at, they create need by going into that. So you can, there's no need, your product, whatever you are trying to design, if that will create that emotional connect, you can create that connect, you will start selling. It may be a product which is not required on a day-to-day basis. Why does a flower vendor who is not even making 500 rupees a day, 300 rupees a day, have a cell phone? Today you see that. They don't need. Do they need? Their circle is limited. But it's become a need for whatever be the reason. And so on. So don't even say that there's nothing called a basic. There's a basic need, there's a basic response. But in marketing, all about, I told you about innovation. Innovation is about creating a product or a service which the customer yet does not know. But by the time you are ready with the innovation, the customer will know that they want it. So that's what is the marketing is all about. Marketing is all about creating that need. Some of them are useless, so bad, but many of them enhance your lifestyle, enhance your satisfaction, enhance comfort, and so on and so forth. So you really didn't need it, think about it, but when it came to you, you said, oh my God, it helps me. And therefore, you become an early adopter, or you buy into it, and so on and so forth.
So if we have no more questions, could we have a big round of applause, please?
Thank you so much, sir. I think when you go home back and kind of think back to the talk that sir has given, you'll realize that in 2 hours, he's kind of given you the basics of how to understand your customer right up till the different marketing strategies, which, trust me, even if you kind of go through several books and courses, it is difficult. So I hope you appreciate the kind of effort that he has put in. So thank you very much, Ravichandran sir, and just a little something from our end. Thank you so very much. What you like to say, maybe in another few months' time.
I'll do a new age marketing only at that time.
So that will be very helpful. Thank you all for coming. Our team will reach out to get your feedback, not just for this session, but also for possibly a workshop that Ravichandran sir can hold. But our team will reach out for you. So thank you very much all for coming.
Thank you.
We want to say thank you.